I was reviewing my first video on Smallville Season 1, and I thought to myself, I can do better. Smallville deserves better. So when reviewing my notes for Season 1, I was going over all the lessons that Clark learned when I noticed almost every single time Clark learns a lesson, so does Lex. Every time Clark goes through a trial, so does Lex. Every time Clark is brought face to face with the reality that he's not a normal person, so does Lex. Basing this, of course, on the events of Smallville Season 1, we, the viewer, are following Clark's journey in hopes that he will eventually one day become Superman, a symbol of the greater man. However, he might not be the only hero of this story. It is my theory that throughout the story of Smallville, we are not only following Clark's assimilation with humanity, but Lex's mental separation with humanity and approach to godhood, or in DC Comics' case, a 12th level intellect. If we are speaking in the realm of myth and superheroes, then we should be privy to use ideologies from all related material, ideally M. Night Shyamalan's movie Split. In this movie, Kevin Wendell Crumb, played by James McAvoy, believes that in order to ascend to heights higher than any other man, you must first be broken, and the more you are broken down, the more pious you can become. We all know that Clark has superpowers that make him onto a god, but let's take a look at Lex at the beginning of his hero's journey. And to do this, I'm going to draw a contrast between Lex and Clark in the following areas: mastery over people, mastery over nature, and mastery over self. It is my hope that after this video, we will all have the complete understanding of Lex Luthor's mentality after Season 1, as well as the understanding of the endgame direction that the showrunners wanted to push the character of Lex in. So, let's get started. Mastery over people. In order to give perspective on Lex's mastery over people, or the common man in Season 1, I must first tell you how Clark does it. Outside of his superpowers, or because of his superpowers, depending on what side of the fence you fall on, Clark Kent constantly has people's lives in his hands. Whether it is him helping out with his family on their struggling farm, saving people's lives directly, or straight up lying to people's faces in order to serve his best interests. All of these are forms of controlling people around him. Now let's see how Lex compares. How does Lex have mastery over people? Well, most obviously, his upbringing. Being a wealthy kid does have its advantages. You get access to better food, knowledge, housing, and a whole litany of opportunities are awarded to you just for existing. This, mixed with the rigorous mental training from his father, turned Lex into a man with more physical resources and mental faculties than any other person who would try to call themselves his peer. He also directly controls the fates of people around him through a monetary standpoint. Lex is running a number of operations in Smallville that directly affect the employment of certain individuals, a fact of reality in the first season that Lex holds at the highest regard. Lastly, Lex is bald, guys. We all know, and sometimes we laugh at him for it. However, in many older religions, baldness could be a symbol for enlightenment. The hair is called the weeds of the mind, and removing these weeds can help project the person forward to enlightenment, and thus saving the world. Mastery over nature. As we all know, Superman has mastery over the elements. He has heat vision, he can make wind tunnels, ice breath, and in some cases he can even pull planets. Oh yeah, and he can fly. But these are obvious in your face powers, and they can't be the only ways to manipulate nature, right? In one word, no. As it seems that Clark defies the laws of nature just by simply existing, so does Lex. Lex is no stranger to the idea that he's going to die. He has been in plenty of situations that call for it, but ultimately he always lives, to the point where he's basically unkillable. Yes, most of these life and death situations are remedied by Clark, or plot convenience, but nonetheless, each leave him mentally changed. He looks for answers in any place he can find them, and he finds them in meteor rocks every single time. Apparently, he was altered in the meteor shower too, but he was awarded or altered in a way that increases white blood cell count, meaning he has never been, nor will he ever be, sick. Any airborne pathogen that would kill or incapacitate a normal person would give Lex no more than a small migraine, if that. The last case of mastery over nature, and maybe the most literal, is Lex literally having the ability to physically change the landscape of the planet. Whether it's digging up the site of the meteor shower or being responsible of the fertilizer plant that alters the soil that people use to grow food. It could possibly be him using the meteor rocks to restore the mythical Nicodemus flower. Lex and Clark show time and time again that the rules of this world mean nothing to them. Mastery over self. Lastly, we have mastery over self. Lex is in a constant battle throughout the course of the first season, creating reasons why he's alive, and obsessively pondering over his father's mental games has caused Lex to enter a perpetual limbo. He is constantly struggling with his inner altruism, constantly looking for the respect of both of his father and Mr. and Mrs. Kent. However, his quest for knowledge about Clark drives a wedge between himself and the Kents, as well as his search for knowledge about the meteor rocks drives a wedge between himself and his father, and to a lesser extent, Clark. Toward the end of the season, Lex decides that it isn't about honoring Lionel's teachings or Jonathan's, but more implicitly about doing what you can in the moment to protect what's his. Which he proves when he both saves the life of his father by extending an open hand, and then later saves Jonathan's by shooting the reporter that he hired in the back. Villains of a story usually are created by the hero. This sentiment remains true in the case of this reporter that Lex hired. In short, all the events of season 1 eventually lead to Lex seeing himself not only as a hero, but as a protector. So that's it, guys. Yeah, so that's the video. That is just a couple of the dualities that I see between Clark and Lex in the first season. During the second season, I plan on going into more of their family dualities. I believe that the second season about Smallville is all about family, so I'm going to be talking a lot about that. If you guys do like this way of recording the video, other than the how did we get here way of recording, please let me know. Write a comment, give a like, whatever you can to just let me know that this is more of the direction you want to go in. What did you guys think, actually? Before I get ahead of myself, what did you guys think of some of the dualities in the first season? What were some of your favorite parts of the first season? I really want to know all that. I really like Smallville. I watched it back when it was first coming out, and I'm watching it again, and I like it even more. I think if the shows did this kind of work a lot more, we'd have a lot more authentic, longer running TV, comic book related TV shows, but that's just me. I'm talking a lot about it. But yeah, I really like it. So definitely like, comment, subscribe if you do like this kind of content. And us at the Long Story Short Show will be determined to bringing you consistently quality content. So until next time, thank you.